All right, we're going on the first test drive with these seats in, and automatically the first thing I noticed was that I did not angle the receivers, or the roller, if you will, of the seat belt at an angle that made sense, because this is already dragging, you can feel it, so I should have tilted it more towards the front windshield. The seating position, again, I'm 3 down from the rear, or on the rear, I'm 3 down from the top, 2 down from the front. It's a little lower than what they recommended, and you are sitting low, which is what I was looking for. Initially, I feel like I actually could be a little higher, which I wouldn't expect myself to say, because we're all looking to sit as low as possible. But it feels low, and you're also leaned back, of course. So I like the position. It's already super comfortable. But it's something that will take some getting used to, because you sit so high with the factory seat. So TBD on that. I do have to say, shout out to Greg. The sensors are already working. There are 0 lights on the dash. So everything I just did, including whatever this sensor is over here, obviously it's a pressure sensor, custom wired to some degree, like it works flawlessly. So thank you, GRP, for that and for finding a fix. Right after I put these in, I saw online that Greg just released an additional bar for a 5 or 6 point harness mount, specifically for the submarine belt, which these didn't have previously. So inevitably, they're gonna have to come back out to mount that bar. I've already ordered it. But with this setup, you can run a factory 3-point belt as well as harnesses, which is what I intend to do. So let's see if she drives as good as she sits. It's gonna require, like I said, some getting used to, but yeah, I don't know, let's go see what it feels like initially. It's interesting for sure. I think if it was more upright, rather than having a staggered bolt pattern on the side mounts, it would feel weird. You would not be able to benefit from the contour of the Tillet seat itself, which is what makes these so comfortable. Right now I have 0 padding in. I have the pads to put in, but even without pads, these are already incredibly comfortable. You do have some thigh support, in addition to the lateral support, obviously, on the side of the buckets. And, I mean, the first corner, taken at 18 miles an hour, feels so much better in these seats than the factory seats. So good stuff. I do think, because you're kind of locked into the bucket, one thing I noticed more than I noticed with the factory seats is the offset position of the seat with the pedals. I feel like I'm more pointed to the left versus the pedals over to the right. I think that's a common Lotus thing. You just don't notice it as much in the factory seats because there's more cushion and you probably adjust for it. But I think the majority of sports cars I've owned actually had that same problem. Forgive the weird camera angle. I'm testing a new mount and I didn't have the right one for my phone, so I kind of have it jerry-rigged. But it works. Okay, real quick, 2 things I forgot to mention. 1, I just did it. I let my seatbelt fly and it immediately clacked against the side of the seat. No issues yet, but I imagine if you do that frequently, it's going to scratch the carbon. So keep that in mind. Secondly, possibly the most exciting part of these seats, you can see the full gauge cluster finally. I've never been able to see the tachometer with the factory seats. Wherever I like to drive, I could not see what I wanted to see. I would have to adjust it. The other thing is this clearly puts your legs at a different angle. I've already mentioned how I'm acutely aware now of how offset it is with the pedals to the driving position. You feel that a little bit with factory seats. You feel it more now. But the muscles that my legs are using to hit the pedals has now changed. I'm sure I'll get used to that. Again, I went lower on the seat than what GRP recommends for like a factory adjustment or factory finish. So we'll see. So merging onto the highway here. Definitely need to adjust my mirrors after this install, but I mean, overall, same driving experience. What's interesting is these seats are taller than the factory seats as far as the seat back, but because they're thinner, that's an undercover cop, I see you. Because they're thinner, I actually have visibility out of the quarter windows, where before I don't think I could see out them at all. And of course that's where the seats are adjusted, but where I preferred them to be, I don't believe I had any visibility out of the quarter windows. One of the concerns that you typically have with race buckets and a factory seatbelt is you tend to sit lower than where the factory seats originally sit, so therefore the receiver on the belt is higher and you're not adequately buckled in. You don't feel secure, especially with the lap belt. Where I have it right now, even being much lower, hold on one sec. Where I have it right now, even sitting much lower, the 3-point belt system feels perfectly fine. It's not rubbing on the neck. It doesn't feel super loose on the belt. The receiver, although higher, is still in a place that it can take it appropriately. So even without running harnesses, even without running pads, which will bring me up slightly higher, everything feels good. Long live side bolsters. I can't wait to put this thing on track now. I mean, it'll be night and day difference. I can already tell my legs won't have to brace as hard either going around corners because of the side bolsters within the seat. That is one thing. So I've ran a bunch of different race buckets in various cars, and you never know how severe you want to go on the side bolstering, whether it be the seat back or the base. Because if you daily drive it at all, it can be quite annoying and you don't want to be locked in. But on track, you want, obviously, to be locked in. So what I often did with other seats is just remove the lower cushion when I'm on track so I sit that much deeper into the bucket. And that way, those seats were comfortable on street. That allowed me to find the better of two worlds. With this type of carbon bucket, you don't have cushions like that. But on these B10s, and this is an XL, I feel like it's a good balance between holds you in place, but it doesn't trap you as you would feel for like a daily driver. This is a B10XL. I got it for both driver and passenger. I am about 6 feet, 210 pounds. I have like a 33 most days. 34-ish waist. So if that helps you at all determine which size seat you want, I would go XL. My other ones are smaller than this in the Xenos. I don't know if they're B7s. I don't know exactly what model they are. I should probably find out. They're smaller than this and I fit just fine, but they don't have as big of side bolsters. And frankly, like I have to strap in really tight in that car to stay planted in that seat. So in my opinion, this is far better. I'm going to wrap it up here. I highly recommend them. I highly recommend going through Greg's Race Parts. Thank you, Tillet, for the seats. Thank you for the custom cushion. Looking forward to the submarine belt mount for the harnesses. And once I have that, then the sky's the limit with which harnesses you can run. Originally, I was going to go with potentially a 4-point harness, which I've never done before. It's kind of weird to me. I don't like the idea of that, only because of the lack of submarine mounting option. I was hoping not to customize these rails at all. So the fact that Greg already has a solution, I'm pretty pumped. All right, this is day 2 And in the same video, I included my initial impressions, but I'm also going to include my impressions today, having driven it maybe 100 miles or so in the last day. There's more things I'm discovering with the position that I set it at, some good, some bad. First and foremost, we already know that the cup holders are terrible in this car. Horrible location. But with these seats, based on where I sit, and it's probably slightly different per user, obviously, there's no chance of using the cup holders now. Because the seat sits you lower, and because the seat is leaned back slightly, your arm to the gear shift pretty much sits right on top of the entire console, rather than slightly above in the factory seats. It also shifts your elbow a little forward because you're further back, I think, from the lean of the seat itself. And my elbow just barely touches the armrest. So you don't really have that luxury anymore either. And I can't recall in the factory seats if I could rest my arm while shifting. I don't remember, but you don't have it anymore, that's for sure. The other benefit of where I'm sitting is I think you've seen photos of the car. I have a GT4 window banner, and now I can see red lights again. So that's pretty exciting. I know when to move and when to stop. Probably a serious safety concern, but now I don't have that problem. Let's talk about the other armrest on the left side. I haven't tracked it with these seats yet, obviously, but even in daily driving, the left armrest on the door, I tend to rest my elbow the entire time. Now, because I'm sitting lower, my elbow is naturally higher and probably in a less ideal position. It's still semi-comfortable, but it's not like it was before. So I would say, depending upon where you set your seat, it completely mitigates your use of the armrests, at least in a comfortable fashion. What else? I'm getting used to the position and shifting, but I'm definitely using the muscles on my shin more so than previously. I feel like I was using either my calf or my quads. So it's a little different. It feels a little off. Again, I think it's something you'll get used to. But I'm wondering if, because of the amount of room I have, which I would say is probably 6 inches at this current setting, I'm wondering if I shouldn't raise it one notch on the side mounts. Like, do I need to be sitting this low? Is this the optimal position? I get center of gravity, all that. But as long as I have room for a helmet comfortably, maybe it's worth bumping up. We'll see. I'm going to give it a little more time. What else? There's some other things that I've called out. Without getting the seat pads, if you're just going with the standard bucket seat, and I would highly encourage you to get pads. It could be my body shape, my build, whatever, and not everybody experiences this. But the center of my back doesn't really touch the seat per se. It's more my shoulder blades. So I'm getting like this suction effect that's interesting. It kind of, every time I move, it kind of makes like a fart sound, and you start sweating a little. It's weird. But I know the pads will prevent that from happening. So for that reason alone, I think it's best to have pads on these seats. I got it. I saw somewhere on the forums when somebody else installed these that they said the noises in the vehicle become more noticeable. And by noises, I mean the engine's a little louder. You hear the supercharger whine a little more. I would say maybe even some road noise. That is very true. Don't know why. Maybe the cushion and the thickness of the seat absorbed some of that previously. but it's definitely louder in a positive way. I mean, that's why we own these cars, right? Just keep that in mind. I did take my wife out. She's not a fan. She's not thrilled by these seats at all. So you might want to consider that if you often drive with your significant other. She supports me in my endeavors, so she didn't say anything negative per se, but I could tell immediately. She liked the position of the seat with it leaned back slightly, and I don't think she necessarily hated the height of the seat, although she does prefer to sit higher. But getting in and out, it's a beast. You're rolling out of the car now because my butt is essentially sitting probably the exact same level, if not slightly lower than the side sill. So between using the steering wheel and putting a hand on the side sill, I kind of roll out. Getting in's no problem. But on the passenger side, you don't have a steering wheel to help ease yourself into the seat, and you don't have a handle to help get yourself out of the seat. So, I don't know. I'm not a fan of leaving one factory seat in the car. I think it looks weird. But again, if you travel a lot with your spouse, I would take that in consideration before installing two. All right, I think that's all I got. And maybe this will conclude the video. We'll see.